Galactic Standard Date. Year 11356. Day 86. Sol Standard Date 3/29/3267. Catherine de Lassie was trying to be on her best behaviour as she gave the 3 Ateni ambassadors a tour of the Amaryllis. After leaving decon chamber, the first place on the list was the mess hall. As she led the Ateni through the massive halls of her cargo ship, she noticed that Soran was fidgeting an awful lot and was immediately beside herself with worry. Soran, are you okay? She asked. Soran blushed in embarrassment, as he hadn't realised he had been fidgeting like an overexcited child. Though he was closer now in body to being a child than he had thought to be ever possible. He took this as an opportunity to ask, "Well, I was wondering what exactly happened in the decontamination chamber. After all, I've clearly dropped in age by 100 years, give or take," he asked sheepishly. Catherine stopped as she considered it before shrugging her shoulders and happily chirping out, "No clue, hun. Our lead engineer is a real smart cookie though, so we can probably just ask him. He's off duty right now, so he's likely sleeping. Luckily for you, his room is a couple of blocks from the mess hall, so we can visit him and then get some grub," she said, happy as a newlywed. Valthan's ears flickered at the mention of an engineering god. Excuse me, Captain de Lassie? Tell me about this engineer you spoke of, please. I am quite interested in learning from his lordship," he said. Catherine cocked her head at the his lordship, but brushed it off as him being a bit overly formal. "You ain't gotta be so formal with me, hun. You're way too adorable for that kind of talk. Though I suppose I can tell you what I know. He keeps to himself and his team mostly, so I pretty much only know his resume. As for that, his name is Jason Linford. He is now 338 years old and managed several tours as a non-combat engineer in the fight against the dimensional horrors we've been fighting for the last 900 or so years. His job was repair and refit of, well, pretty much everything and everyone. He was an Imperium jack-of-all-trades engineer. That's why I hired him. He would assuredly need little to no training, and what little he might need, he would pick up in no time at all," she said. The 3 Ateni were trying to take in all of the information she had just casually dropped, and each of the 3 ended up trying to ask questions at the same time, causing Catherine to kneel down and try to calm the small aliens enough to get a clear question from one. "Hold on there, y'all. I'll answer one question per mouse in a rotation," she said. With a mischievous look in her eyes and an ever-widening smile, she said, "I know exactly how to make it as fair as possible. You 3 can play rock, paper, scissors." She then explained the rules to the game, and watched with glee as the tiny hands went into place, and Valenthi announced the start. "Rock, paper, scissors, shoot," she said. Valenthi threw rock, Soran threw scissors, and Valthan had thrown rock as well. It was down to Valenthi and Valthan now. "Rock, paper, scissors, shoot," Valenthi yelled as she thrust out a tiny pair of scissor fingers to meet Valthan's flimsy paper hand. Valenthi pumped her fist and turned to ask Catherine her question, only to see a hand inches away from the top of her head. "What?" she yelled as the hand made contact with her head and started massaging between her ears. Valenthi's eyes crossed and she melted into a puddle as Catherine scooped her up and started giving her more head scritches. All of her worries were suddenly so far away. She could hear Catherine calling her adorable and cute, among other things that were lost in the blissful massage of being held so close to the warm chest of the giant. She could hear the gigantic thumping of Catherine's heart, and it was the most comforting sound she had ever heard. Then Catherine set her back down onto the deck, breaking her from her reverie, and asked her what her question was. Valenthi looked around in shock at just how at peace she had been while being held and petted like a wild animal. Then she thought about how much colder it was away from Catherine. When the question finally hit her. "Wait, what? My question about what? And what was that? What did you just do to me? It felt amazing," she said, with a wondrous look in her eyes. Catherine froze at her questioning. She was supposed to be on her best behaviour, but she couldn't help herself. The tiny hands playing rock, paper, scissors had just been too adorable. And then they got into a really heated battle in it, and then the tiny mouse looked so happy with her victory that I just couldn't help myself, she thought. I'm sorry, but you look so adorable. And I wanted to reward you for your victory, so I kinda couldn't help but give you scritches. Sorry, she said, looking for all the world like she had committed an unforgivable sin. Valenthe just smiled a happy smile and said, It's fine, Mr. Lassie. I don't know why, but it was really comforting when you did that. I was so at peace. It was like all my problems had disappeared, but I still have to ask my first big question. You said that the Imperium was at war with something you called a dimensional horror for around 900 years. So what exactly are these dimensional horrors that have been able to keep fighting you for 900 years, despite your incredibly advanced technology? Catherine facepalmed herself at that. The Azarians were probably not supposed to be revealed in the first 5 minutes of first contact. Then her face got deadly serious. They are called the Azarians, as some general decided they needed a name that was shorter than Dimensional Horror. We've been beating their lines back for the last 427 years, but the first couple of centuries were pretty horrifying. As the name suggests, they aren't from our dimension. And, well, they're pretty horrifying to look at. They are on average around 31 feet tall, and another 17 in width. That's just the main body of it, but it has a massive, an average, 78 feet of tentacles that are barbed and poisonous so as to catch and kill whatever the tentacle may pass before bringing it to its giant fanged maw. These usually reach out to a full length of 230 feet and are fairly thin at a solid 2-foot diameter. Then another 2 tentacles that they attack anything that the feeder tentacles can't reach. These are called destroyers for obvious reasons. That's enough for now. We can have a history lesson on those vile beings later if you want, but they sour the mood, she said. Valenthe was shocked beyond belief. These gods have been keeping a power capable of bridging the dimensional rifts at bay. A terrible and dark power of a size and magnitude she couldn't imagine even battlecruisers destroying. And these beings were not only holding them back, but had even pushed their lines back. The three attorney took some time to soak that information in before Falfan asked his question. You said that Engineer Jason was 358 years old. Is my translation correct at assuming that his age was already converted to years for my people? If so, how is he 358 years old and still alive and kicking? He asked. Catherine just shrugged. Translation should be fine. Ship's AI knows his stuff. Our lifespan became rather infinite, barring a few of the more total deaths. We can just go on forever. We can't survive being atomized, but so long as there's a little left, we can be brought back, young and fresh. Getting eaten by an Azarian is another way we can die totally. That one we aren't exactly sure how to fix either. Oh, by the way, I'm 1007 years old, she said. The three just stared open-mouthed and wide-eyed, and they all collectively thought, they are gods. Soran had the final question before they would go to meet with Jason. How did you attain immortality? He asked, short and simple. Catherine just cocked her head and let out a sigh. Same way you three did. Again, Jason can explain the light thingy better than I can. All I know is that it's some sort of local time reversal that can restore your body to whatever condition it was in at the time reversal set time? She shrugged and then added, Meh, weird wibbly-wobbly timey-wimey stuff, she said with a big grin and rosy red cheeks. The three couldn't handle the shock anymore and just went into shock sleep mode, falling to the floor with 3 tiny tinks as they all hit the floor. Catherine lost her shit and panicked.